Good morning, Midwest City. Good morning. I'm Matt. I'm the mayor. Pat, that was for you. I need to recover from an almost unforgivable sin that I made last year. In my haste to recognize all the DVs and people that are in attendance, I forgot the most important person in this room, and that's my wife, Narita. Obviously, I'm married up, but she's endured 26 years of marriage to me, which I'm sure hasn't been an easy task. However, pretty easy to get along with most of the time. And she's also heard this speech about 50 times, so she's still here. I do want to congratulate several people that are in the room today. First off, Pat Byrne for his reelection to council for another 4 years. Rick Favors, who won by acclamation and didn't draw an opponent in his Ward 6 bid for council. There's an ongoing theme on the council currently. We've got 3 retired cops. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it's going to be interesting. Rick and I worked together at Midwest City for 20 plus years, and Rick, it's a pleasure to welcome you on board, and thank you for taking on this task. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here. I think it's important that I, as the leader of the city, explain to you what goes on in this city every day. You need to know as taxpayers and also the supporters. And that's why I strive to do this every year, and we'll continue to do this as long as I'm in office. To start off, the voters in Midwest City in 2018 passed a historic $53.5 million GO bond. And I want to bring you up to speed on where we're at on those projects. First off, the animal shelter, which drew a lot of attention. And we're in the final phases of awarding the bids, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground on the animal shelter early spring and be open within a year. And that's quite an accomplishment. And thanks for Brandon and his staff for working hard and bringing that design phase to us. Another popular project was the multi-sports complex, which will be located on Southeast 29th Street. Phase 1 is complete and Phase 2 is underway, and we should be submitting documents for the construction shortly in the middle of the year. Last month, we had a kickoff meeting for the Mid-America Park. The work on the design and construction projects are underway, and this park will have an 18-hole professional disc golf course in it, first one in this area. And preliminary design and survey work is underway currently for the original Mile Park, which will be located on the grounds of the old City Hall in the original Mile. On January 28th, Council approved 2 contracts to go ahead with the renovation and reconstruction of the Reed Ballpark located behind Carl Albert High School. The initial phase of the documents needed to start construction for the John Conrad golf course renovation has already begun. In March of 2021, we should start construction, wrapping it up in April of 2022. This is the first major renovation of this golf course since it's opened. Much of the work for these bond projects go unseen, with the paperwork and all the documents that need to be completed to move forward with the project, but some of the projects have been more visible. The purchase and installation of our new outdoor warning system, which includes a big voice component. Hardly any of the metropolitan areas have this capability. Also, renovations of the streets have begun. with 2 projects in the original mile in Atkinson Heights, or wrapping up completion on those. Aside from our GO bond projects, another bright spot in our year last year was, of course, economic development. We brought movies back to Midwest City. With the opening of the Warren Theater, it's been 3rd in the metropolitan area on ticket sales almost since the day it was opened. And also in November, we opened Andy's Altitude 1291. Kyle and his family are here present today. Thank you, Kyle, for coming to Midwest City. I've said it before and I've said it again. I grew up here. We ain't ever had anything like that, Kyle. I suggest the climbing wall as long as you have a paramedic standing by. Fuzzy's and the Feast got open. And judging by the parking lot every Friday and Saturday night, they're doing awful big business over there. We are anticipating the Louis Bar and Grill to be open later on this year. And also, if you haven't been by 15th and Sooner, you've noticed that our second Chick-fil-A is under construction at this point. Who knew a chicken sandwich, right? Several independently owned eateries and businesses have opened in Midwest City, thus strengthening our overall economic impact to our community. But I do want to start getting into some of the accomplishments overall of the city and their staff. Before I get into this, I want every staff member to stand, please. That's present. Come on, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, this group of individuals work very hard to bring you all the services that we provide this community, and they deserve another round of applause. Last summer, former city manager Guy Henson retired. And after a long distinguished career with our city. In most cases, or in most communities, this would leave a huge gap in leadership for any community, but not in Midwest City. We had, in the wings, training for this for 19 years, Tim Lyons. And he was hired as our new city manager. Congratulations, Tim. And we have a whole line of professionals that are lined up in training to take that position as it comes open. So there won't be a gap in leadership in this town anytime soon. One of his first decisions was to hire the assistant city manager, Vaughn Sullivan, a longtime friend of mine and an ultimate professional, and congratulations. He did say the other day that, is this all I do is go to meetings? And he's an operations guy, so he would rather be out in the ditches than in the office, but now he's getting to see the other side of the coin. They, as a team, oversee a $177 million budget and over 500 full-time and part-time employees, and they do an awesome job. We want to continue to emphasize transparency and communication within our community. The city began their live streaming video of our council meetings and have been seen 6,000 times this year. Now, these can be rather entertaining at points, so if you have some popcorn and nothing to do on a Tuesday night, please tune in. Our Nextdoor app has received over 34,000 views over the last year, and our Facebook page has increased over 35% in coverage, and it has reached 2 million people. And we strive to continue to be transparent with our community and communicate with our community on what's going on. Last summer, the city manager, after taking office, combined 3 positions into one office to effectively market and communicate for the city of Midwest City, and developing a division called Communications and Marketing. Claudia Coos heads up that division and has done a phenomenal job with her staff. Another priority for the city, as it should be, is the fiscal health of our community. In fiscal year 18-19, we had our annual audit of our financial statements, and we came back with a clean audit as always. Christy Barron, our finance director, also obtained certification in public finance investment, and she's one of 3 certified public accountants that head up that department, which is unheard of in most cities. Speaking of fiscal health, our sales tax revenue continues to increase and be a phenomenal part of our overall growth. Last year, collections were up 3.5% compared to budget, and 3.1% over last year. And now, as always, and I continue to remind you that the sales tax revenue for the cities, municipalities throughout the state is vital to our operations. Oklahoma is the only state in the United States that forces municipalities to rely solely on sales tax revenue for operations. So I say it once, I say it again, and I'll continue to foot stomp it. Please shop Midwest City. Besides promoting our shopping in our city, one of the best parts of being mayor is getting out and meeting and greeting folks. I continue my coffee with the mayor at the Underground, Amber and Jason, that family, the first Tuesday of every month. And I also go over to the Senior Citizen Center and visit with those folks every month. I guess now I'm one of them. We've actually talked about Social Security. I continue to be active in meeting and greeting in the community. I continue to attend the meetings at Tinker Air Force Base on a bi-weekly basis with the commanders out there. I'm actively involved with the Midwest City Chamber of Commerce, who I might add, hosted this event today. Bonnie and crew, thank you so much. I also am the chairman of the Association of Central Oklahoma Government Board of Directors, and I currently sit on the legislative committee for the Oklahoma Municipal League. And everywhere I go, I tout Midwest City, and I taunt my friends from Del City about shopping in Midwest City as well. I did have to serve pie to the Del City Council this year after Midwest City lost the football game, but I'm hoping revenge will come next year. We stay in close contact with our legislators. It's vitally important. Last August, the city manager and staff met with Congressman Cole as he visited City Hall, and we discussed issues that affect our city and our community. Last month, myself, Vice Mayor Byrne, city manager, and other staff met with our 3 state legislators, and communication with them on issues that affect not only Midwest City, but the municipalities around the state. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to foot stomp one other thing. These 3 individuals represent this area well. Brenda, Kelly, and Robert, thank you for what you do at 23rd and Lincoln. During the legislative session last year, I was getting texts from Kelly, Brenda, and Robert. Is this good? Okay, I don't know. I'll go back and look it up. No, this isn't good. That's the kind of communication we have, and that's the kind of communication that's needed. And again, thank you for your efforts. I continue to be blessed to work with City Council and the members that we have in place. One of our primary duties last year was the sale of the general obligation bonds. And February, we awarded 20 million, well, that'd be great. Tim, you'd be in hog heaven, wouldn't you? $20 million in GO bonds. In May, we approved the $17 million, and phase 3 of that bond project will be underway shortly this year. Some more economic development for 2019, as I've already mentioned some of the key successes. The commercial developers, owners, and franchisees completed a total of $24 million in new buildings and renovations in our community last year. Sooner Rose Tax Increment Finance District experienced further growth. The Economic Development Authority acquired the Sears building at the Old Heritage Park Mall in hopes of bringing a couple of new employers and vitalizing that area of Reno and their depot. Business at our Midwest City Sheraton continues to be brisk, and last year we hosted the Buick Club of America. Just for an example of what that brings to our community, they brought over 300 attendees to that convention, generated hotel and food beverage revenue of $162,000 and over $16,000 in local tax revenue. They continue to entice that small niche of the market that other people are forgotten, and they continue to have a huge impact on our community. Now get into the meat and bones of what we do as a city every day. I always think it's important for you to have these stats so you know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. So many people, 500 employees, are working every day to bring you these public services. In 2019, we delivered 1.8 billion, billion, gallons of water to our customers without any DEQ or EPA issues. Our wastewater treatment plant treated 2.1 billion gallons of wastewater last year without any issues from EPA. Solid waste collected 35,600 tons of trash. We generate a lot of trash. And we picked up 3,000 tons of recyclables. Paul Streets and I have had this conversation. The recyclable industry is in trouble. And this is going to be an issue municipalities are going to have to address in the years to come. So stand by for that. We issued 151 new residential building permits, totaling $22 million in construction. We issued 227 certificates of occupancy last year and inspected 44 new storm shelters. Community Development partnered with Neighborhood Services to develop a new system for code enforcement to effectively manage all the code issues in the city. Community Development also cooperated with Economic Development on 2 grant applications to study the redevelopment of the Midwest City Medical Plaza and also the Air Depot Business Corridor, and that effort was led by Pat Burns. Some of the other accomplishments in community development: we completed the Mid-America Trail, the completion of the water line relocation of I-40, and we are in the final stages of construction of 7 new homes in the original mile on 5 infill lots, and we hope to continue that process in the years coming. Our GIS, or Geographical Information System, which is a one-man show, created the Midwest City Geo Hub, which allows you to access information on our bond projects, maps, and everything that's going on in Midwest City. Again, trying to be transparent in everything that we do. Our Public Works Department built a bridge in Mid-America Park, allowing access for maintenance vehicles to get in and out of the park, thus increasing our effectiveness in maintaining those parks. This next accomplishment began as a conversation between me and Paul Streets, and it morphed from there. So Public Works did the planning and preparation to launch the city's new quarterly curbside bulk waste pickup this year, which is a huge success with our citizens. Thank you for that initiative, Paul. Now, getting to my old boss. Police Chief Brandon Clabe celebrated his 20th year as Chief of Police this year. He's been with the city 40 years. He started when he was in high school. Actually, the first time I met Brandon was when I worked for Paler Funeral Home. Brandon worked for the Oklahoma Journal, and every day he would call and he would say, "Brandon with the Journal, do you have any obits today?" True story. Our police department was extremely busy this last year. We expanded our mental health and substance abuse program, created an aftercare program with the jail chaplains, created a drone policy, instituted a homeless outreach program, and instituted a new program in cooperation with the Middale school systems called Handled with Care. This helps the police department identify children who have been exposed to a traumatic event so they can transmit that to the school system so the school system can be aware of what's going on with that child and do some intervention. That's a great program. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Dr. Cobb, for bringing it. To improve our efficiency, the police department consolidated the records division. We also established a flex shift to handle calls during our peak service periods. We created a street crimes unit that's focused on deterring and investigating violent crimes. The fire department was busy as well. They were awarded 2 grants, one from FEMA, which was used to hire 3 additional firefighters, and an AFG grant to purchase the new self-contained breathing apparatus that firefighters use in firefighting. 2019, the fire department responded to 213 fire incidents, 5,000 rescue and emergency medical incidents, 344 hazardous condition incidents. So it was a busy time for our firefighters. Now, this next one I want you to try to wrap your head around. The police department responded to 66,436 calls for service last year. If you extrapolate that out, that's 182 calls per day, 7.5 calls per hour. They're busy and they handle their job in a very professional and efficient manner. And again, thank you for the work you do over there, Chief. Even in their outdated, undersized facility, our animal welfare division maintained an 83% adoption rate last year, up from 77% from the previous year. Just imagine what they're going to be able to do when we get this new facility online. Animal welfare, we hired a new supervisor, Robert Duncan, who's working to improve the efficiency and also improve the adoption rates. Emergency management coordinated the installation of our new outdoor warning system and also brought online Text to 911, which is a new and vital part of the 911 reporting system. We also said goodbye to Mike Bauer. Mike, where are you? Okay, he's retired. He gets a pass. I was going to pump him up there. Mike left retired from the city after 42 years of service, 16 of which was fire chief. And that left a big hole in our emergency management. But in typical Midwest City style, we recovered and hired Deborah Wagner from the city of Moore. She has been there, done that, and knows emergency management. Our Geek Squad, information technology, they continue to work with the fire and police department to implement our new, Ryan's the director of the Geek Squad, as we call them. But they implemented a new mobile radio and portable radio system for police and fire, bringing us up to date and also removing us from the old antiquated state Oklahoma wind system. They also coordinated the new backup system off-site, off-campus, away from Midwest City to facilitate emergency communications if needed, and also increase our interoperability with other jurisdictions. They worked with the police department to implement and buy new mobile data computer terminals for the officers to use in the field. And they also purchased and installed a new sound system for the council chambers. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not. You just got to be careful if you got a hot mic. Last year, Human Resources processed 1,300 applications and hired 154 new employees. Transitioned to a new benefits platform which saves costs and also, once again, increases transparency. We hired a new HR director, Troy Bradley, who is committed to transparency and making it easier to apply for a job in the city of Midwest City, and thanks for your efforts in that area, Troy. Community outreach continues to be a priority for this community. 36 new homeowners received down payment and closing cost assistance through the HUD Home Funds program. Terry Kraft heads that department and does a phenomenal job. And this next one it may seem insignificant to you, but when I was a patrol officer, it used to bother me that I would patrol around town and see people that were dependent on public transportation, sitting on a bench out in the wind, cold, rain, whatever Oklahoma has to offer. They don't have a choice in that. So when I came into office, I went in and talked to Terry and said, what can we do to start getting covered bus shelters for those folks? She was already on top of it and had a plan to purchase 8 new bus shelters with a plan to purchase one every year until we get all of our bus stops on Route 15 covered. And last year we installed the 9th in this series of bus shelters. Thank you, Terry, for your efforts in that. I always like this one because people don't understand what goes on in neighborhood services. It's just not code enforcement, trust me. They hosted the 13th annual summer camp last year and oversaw the 13th annual, which is ongoing, VITA tax assistance program. They supported 31 active neighborhood associations, supported 4 block parties, 9 neighborhood cleanups, 7 Easter egg hunts, 23 National Night Out events, and a partridge in a pear tree. That's a joke, folks. Lighten up. Now, this program was started by Stroh and Associates down at Community Development several years ago. Neighborhood Services collected $30,000 worth of food during our annual community food drive in cooperation with Sam's Club, who's a wonderful community partner with us, and helped over 100 families in our communities during the holidays. Mike, thank you. City Council and staff adopted 26 families with 62 children, providing gifts for all of them for Christmas, as well as donating 180 bags of goodies for the Autumn House seniors. A special thanks goes out to the Carl Albert Leadership 1 class for assembling 100 large boxes of food to be distributed among those families. The fire department continues their community outreach, teaching over 3,000 kids in the Middale School District last year on fire prevention during Fire Prevention Month. Cleveland Bailey Elementary, Brenda Stanley's old school where she was a principal, obtained quite a goal this year. They were able to evacuate and account for all the students in 3 minutes and 31 seconds upon pulling the lever on the fire drill. So congratulations to the fire department and Cleveland Bailey. The city hosted multiple events last year, one being the Tribute to Liberty, Made in Oklahoma Fest, Trick or Treat City, Holiday Lights, and the Mid-America Street Fest attracted over 4,000 people. Now, in an effort that began in 1995, Holiday Lights Spectacular, which is the lights in the park, has grown every year. This year, we attracted 25,000 cars through that event. This year, we added 2 new events to the Christmas holiday season called Cookies with Kringle. Try to say that several times. And a community-wide event called Light the City. While I'm speaking of events, as you know, we have an annual Veterans Day Parade in Midwest City. 45 years ago, began our official pullout of Vietnam. In April, the last 2 United States Marines were killed at Tan Son Nhut Air Base in a rocket attack by the Viet Cong as they were approaching Saigon. The last of the Marine Corps contingent at the embassy was evacuated as well, thus officially ending our involvement in Vietnam. Now, if you grew up in that area, which I did, you know that the Vietnam veterans were not treated well. When they returned home, they were spat upon, called baby killers, were told not to wear their uniforms off base. That's just a few of many things that occurred. They never were given their parade. They never were welcomed home like the true American heroes they were. But this year, we're going to change that. This year, we're dedicating the Veterans Day Parade to the Vietnam veterans and give them their parade that they deserve. Now, I will admit that the weather has not been kind to us the last 2 years. So to circumvent Mother Nature, we are going to have a reception for these veterans 2 days prior to the event to ensure that they are properly welcomed home. Thank you. And just a side note, our own Councilman Pat Byrne served during that era in Thailand, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you for your service, Pat. Providing recreation is another prime thing that we do in the city of Midwest City. We operate the Reno Swim and Slide, the softball and baseball complexes, Senior Citizen Center, which again I'm part of. You may have caught the Discover Oklahoma edition last June, which featured our own swim and slide. There were 24,000 rounds of golf played at John Conrad. And John Conrad got some national attention on the Inside PGA Tour segment. They aired our own homegrown golfer, Taylor Gooch. They had planned to film that segment at Oak Tree. Figure that. But Taylor insisted that they film it at his home course at John Conrad. One unnoticed gem in our community is the Welcome Center, which welcomes about 24,000 visitors every year up on 29th Street and generates about $18,000 worth of income with their Oklahoma gift shop within the Welcome Center. Our convention center and Convention and Visitors Bureau was an integral part of the Tinker Air Show this year, which set all kinds of attendance records. This facilitated them Tinker receiving the Community Relations Award in December, a significant honor for Tinker, and we were a proud part of that award being awarded to them. Every time I go to Tinker, or every time I interact with the command staff at Tinker Air Force Base, there's one common denominator: how Midwest City is so accommodating to the military members of this community. That everywhere I go, and you're part of that, and you're to be congratulated for the efforts that we put forth to welcome our military members. Our city does an outstanding job every day of welcoming our visitors and serving our residents. We are committed to maintaining W.P. Atkinson's vision of America's model city and getting us back to that status. And it appears some of our efforts are working. Last year, we were named by Money.com as one of the best 100 cities to live in the United States. Also, we were named one of the 11 cities in Oklahoma listed as best places or best small cities in the state by Wallet Hub. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to bring you these accomplishments, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of our challenges. In a discussion I had with Cindy Meichman just last night, we discussed the importance of attracting new residential development. The boomers are downsizing. The millennials and the Gen Zers, I think is what they're calling them now, they don't want houses, they want experience. I haven't figured that one out. Life is an experience, so what are they missing? But anyway, it's vitally important that we attract new development in our city. Now I'm going to mention one thing. We recently had a huge discussion in the Midwest City about a new development in the original mile. That development failed, and that failure of that development as far as getting passed lies solely on my shoulders. There were a number of reasons for my decisions, which I will not get into them today, but I am still committed to attracting and developing new and exciting developments in our city, and I plan to reach out with the developer of that particular development this week and talk about bringing a new and bigger development to the original mile. To improve the appearance of our community, we still remain committed to our code enforcement efforts. This past year, code enforcement worked over 8,000 cases. We have to work these cases, but we also have to be compassionate in the way we do it. Many times as a police officer, a community action officer, we ran into cases which, for physical reasons, financial reasons, or other reasons, people just could not get out and do the things they needed to do to correct the code violations. It made no sense for us to continue to hammer them, putting them further behind the power curve with no resolution. And I talked about it in last year's State of the City, and we implemented it this year. I started the Mayor's Community Partnership Program. We brought together faith-based and civic organizations under one umbrella to go out and help these folks that need help, physically disabled, the elderly, and the financially stressed. In September, we got to exercise that program. In September, we had over 100 volunteers come together over a period of 2 days to go out and clean up storm debris after our windstorm, get it to the curb, and then get it transported to the recycling center so they didn't have to mess with it. We will continue those efforts, and I would invite each one of you, if you have a group or individual that want to volunteer, please contact me or Neighborhood Services. We will put you to work. Another great project to improve the quality of life in Midwest City is our tree giveaway. Last year we gave 200 trees away, 5-gallon trees to be planted in various areas of the city, and we will continue to do that this year. Stand by for further information. ADA compliance is another challenge that we face, and we'll be working on several rehabs on our civil buildings in the compound here to upgrade improvement and functionality and aid into allowing the physically disabled access to the government buildings. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I want to first off thank you for the privilege of serving as your mayor. It's an honor and humbling to be the mayor of your hometown. And I couldn't ask for a better group of folks to work with than I have right now. And also you. Part of my job is building relationships. And being able to reach out and talk to people can make things happen. And I would encourage you to continue that effort. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting with the YMCA to discuss the future of the Y this week and other issues and things that we could do to improve the quality of life in our community. I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you for your continued support in Midwest City. And may God bless the city of Midwest City, the state of Oklahoma, and of course, the United States of America. Thank you.